The storm howled across Vericon Prime, a choking gale that carried dust through the hollowed remains of a once mighty city. Jagged towers, once clad in black stone and steel banners, now jutted like broken fangs into a blood-red sky. Between them, the throne hall of the Varkathi lay shattered. Cracked pillars leaned against each other like drunks, and the once proud dais where kings had declared wars was buried under rubble. Thalric Ironblood sat among the ruins, his armor dented, his cloak shredded. A dull ache ran through his chest with every breath. The council had promised aid, and then vanished. His people's fleet was scattered, his legions left to burn, his throne stolen not by force but by betrayal. What had once been an empire that spanned 20 worlds was now dust in the air and ghosts in his mind. He pressed his hand against the scar on his abdomen, a wound half-healed. It would have been an easy end if he'd let infection take him. Yet something bitter in him refused. He would not give Valor the satisfaction of imagining him dead and forgotten. No, if he was to die, it would be on his terms, not theirs. Lightning split the sky, throwing his silhouette across the rubble. For a moment, he looked again like the warrior king of old, towering over enemies, his war axe dripping with the blood of foes. Then the thunder faded, and only an old soldier remained, hunched and weary, alone on a dead world. He thought of the last council session, when he had demanded reinforcements to repel the invasion that choked his borders. Valor had smiled, that cold, scaled mouth twisting. The Varkathi are warriors, yes. But too many warriors become tyrants. Perhaps it is time for your empire to pass into history. The chamber had echoed with silent approval. One by one, the voices of other races had voted for non-intervention. Not one hand had lifted for him. Bitter laughter escaped him now, swallowed by the storm. They had left him to rot. All of them. A sharp tone broke through the wind. Faint, distorted, yet unmistakable. A signal. Thalric frowned and lifted the cracked visor of his helm. His comm implant sparked, barely functional, but the reading was clear, a ship descending. Small, civilian class. No council insignia. The last scavengers had left this graveyard cycles ago. Who would dare land here? He stood, ignoring the pain, and dragged his heavy blade from the rubble. If this was a trap, he would meet it with steel. Through the haze, a sleek vessel cut down through the clouds, engines flaring. Its hull bore no alien script, only the stark lettering of a new species barely a century into the stars. United Earth Fleet, Horizon's Dawn. Humans. Thalric let out a low, disbelieving growl. Of all races, the youngest, least feared had come here? He had heard of them, fragile-bodied, short-lived, reckless to the point of madness. He had dismissed the rumors that they survived battles through stubbornness and impossible improvisation. Yet here they were, landing on the bones of his world. The ramp hissed open. Figures in gray-blue armor stepped out, rifles ready but not aimed. At their center walked a woman, helmet under her arm, hair braided tight against the wind. Her eyes scanned the ruins until they fixed on him. King Thalric Ironblood? Her voice carried across the broken courtyard, steady despite the storm. He raised his blade. Who asks? Captain Elena Vasquez, Horizon's Dawn. We received a distress signal from this sector. Thalric's laugh was sharp and humorless. A trap. The council left me to die, and now they send humans to finish the work? Her brow furrowed. The council didn't send us. We don't answer to them. One of her soldiers muttered. Looks half dead already. Thalric snarled, stepping forward despite his wound. I will not crawl before scavengers. Leave, or I'll paint these ruins with your blood. The human captain did not flinch. She walked closer, her boots crunching on cracked stone. You look ready to fall over. And I don't leave people behind. Not even kings who threaten me. You are fools, Thalric spat. Do you understand what harboring me means? Every fleet in the council will turn on you. They will burn your worlds. Maybe, Vasquez said, calm as if discussing the weather. But maybe we don't scare so easy. The sheer audacity froze him for a breath. This woman, barely past her youth by Varkathi standards, spoke as though she held the weight of empires. And her soldiers stood with her, unwavering. Not one looked eager to abandon their mission. He lowered his blade, just slightly. You risk your species for me? Why? Because it's right. Her answer was so simple it struck him harder than any blade. The council would laugh at such foolish idealism. The Ketheri would twist it into bargaining. The Sarlith would call it weakness. Yet here she was, defying the galaxy with nothing but conviction. The wind carried a metallic screech. In orbit, old council probes flickered to life, their sensors catching the unauthorized landing. A red glow pulsed in the storm as ancient relays sent warnings across subspace. Thalric's jaw tightened. They know. Your ship is marked. Soon fleets will come. Vasquez gave a thin smile. Then we'd better move quickly. She gestured to her soldiers. Get him aboard. I walk on my own. Thalric growled. Fine. But you walk with us. For the first time since the fall of his empire, someone had not turned away. Against reason, against fear, against the orders of powers far greater than themselves, these humans chose to stand at his side. As he limped toward the waiting vessel, he cast one last glance at the ruined throne hall. The ghosts of his ancestors seemed to watch from the shadows. He clenched his jaw. Perhaps fate had not finished with him after all. Behind him, Captain Vasquez spoke into her comms. Signal the horizon. Prep medical bay. And tell command we're bringing a passenger. Static crackled, then a voice answered, uneasy. Command won't like this. Vasquez's reply was firm. They'll live. The ramp sealed as the ship's engines roared. Through the hull, Thalric felt the ground fall away. Dust storms swallowed the ruins of his world once more, leaving them silent. The council had abandoned him. The galaxy had spat on his name. Yet as Horizon's dawn rose toward the stars, a new thought pierced his bitterness. Perhaps not all races were the same. Perhaps, in the youngest and least regarded of them all, he had found allies where none existed. And for the first time in years, King Thalric Ironblood felt a flicker of something he had thought long dead. Hope. The infirmary lights aboard Horizon's dawn glowed white against steel walls. Monitors hummed softly, their displays reflecting in Thalric's dark eyes. He sat on a medical bench, his massive frame dwarfing the human medics moving around him. One of them tried to fasten a scanner against his chest, but he brushed it away with a grunt. I do not need your machines. My wounds will heal or kill me. Both are acceptable. Captain Vasquez leaned against the bulkhead, arms folded. You'll sit still and let them work. My ship, my rules. Her tone held no fear, no deference. He turned his head slowly, studying her. Most beings shrank under his stare. She only met it, unflinching, like a warrior sizing an equal. You risk much for me, he said. Do you even understand what you've done? She shrugged. You were bleeding out in ruins. We don't leave people to die. That is not principle. That is weakness. Her eyes narrowed. Funny. Weakness isn't how I describe hauling a 2-meter warlord through a storm with council guns on the way. Her words silenced him, though the growl in his chest betrayed his irritation. She was wrong, of course. Compassion did not win wars. Yet something about her certainty gnawed at him, the way she carried her conviction like armor. The ship's intercom crackled. Captain, transmission incoming. Priority code, council relay. Vasquez straightened. Put it through. A hollow shimmered into existence in the center of the room. Chancellor Vaylor's reptilian visage filled the air, scales glinting under artificial light, cold eyes narrowing at the sight of Thalric. So, Vaylor hissed, voice echoing like grinding stone. The human rumor was true. You harbored the disgraced war king. Vasquez kept her arms crossed. He was abandoned to die. We don't play executioner for your council. You overstep your place, Vaylor snapped. Humanity holds no seat of power. You are tolerated only because you remain small and obedient. Deliver Ironblood at once, or your world will burn. Thalric bared his teeth. Chancellor. You feared my people's strength, so you let them perish. And now you fear even the act of compassion. Pathetic. Valor's gaze flicked back to Vasquez. You see? He infects you already. Hand him over, Captain. Save your kind while you still can. The silence stretched. Her crews shifted uneasily. Then Vasquez spoke, her voice steady as stone. Humanity doesn't abandon allies. Not today. Not ever. The hollow flickered and vanished. The medics froze. One whispered, Captain, that was a death sentence. Maybe, Vasquez replied. But it's our death sentence, not his. Thalric sat rigid, stunned by her defiance. No species had ever spoken so to the Chancellor. No race had dared. Hours later, the crew gathered in the command deck. The curved windows revealed Earth hanging in the distance, blue and bright. Around it, orbital defense stations lit up as ships scrambled into formation. Reports streamed in. Council fleets mobilizing at Proxima Gate. Trade convoys intercepted. Broadcasts spreading, humans are harboring a fugitive. An ensign looked up, pale. They'll blockade us. Cut off supplies, travel, everything. Vasquez paced the deck. Then we dig in. They'll test us. We make sure they regret it. Thalric watched from behind, silent. He saw no hesitation in them, no faltering loyalty. Soldiers prepared for a fight they knew they could not win, yet not one voice called for surrender. His people had been bred for war, yet even in their pride, many had chosen survival over honor. These humans chose defiance over survival. He stepped forward. You stand against the galaxy for me? For one king whose throne lies in ruins? Vasquez turned to face him. We don't fight for thrones. We fight because leaving you to die would make us something we're not. That's enough. The blockade came swiftly. Sleek warships of a dozen races ringed the Sol system, their weapons primed. Warnings filled the skies: surrender Ironblood or face destruction. Humanity's reply was silence, followed by the ignition of defense grids. From orbit, Thalric watched Earth's surface below. Fleets launched, militia craft armed with railguns and missiles. Orbital cannons powered up along the moon, casting shadows over its surface. This was no mighty empire, no thousand-world dominion. Yet in their defiance, they seemed larger than any empire he had known. That night, in the quiet of his quarters, a shadow moved. The hiss of a blade drew his instincts alive. He rolled aside just as a cloaked figure lunged. Steel scraped his armor. With a roar, Thalric slammed the intruder into the wall, twisting the blade from his hand. The assassin hissed an alien tongue. A council hireling. Sent to finish the work. The door burst open. 2 Marines stormed in, rifles raised. The assassin fell under their fire, crumpling lifeless to the floor. One Marine spat. Council rats already inside our walls. Thalric's breath came heavy. He glanced at the soldiers, expecting accusation, perhaps fear. Instead, one extended a hand. You all right, King? The word caught him off guard. King. Not fugitive. Not relic. King. He gripped the soldier's hand and rose, silent. Morning brought fire to the council chambers. Hollow screens blared across the galaxy. Humanity's refusal to surrender, humanity's open defiance. Laughter spread from alien mouths. Primitive apes, they scoffed. They will be ashes within a cycle. Yet whispers stirred too. Some admired the recklessness. Others feared what it meant. A species that stood alone against the entire council. What would they become when they grew stronger? On Horizon's dawn, Vasquez stood before Thalric, weary but resolute. You're no longer just a king of ruins. You're a spark. They fear what you represent, and they'll destroy us to stamp it out. He met her gaze. And yet you stand with me still. Damn right. 2 days later, transmissions echoed across every human channel. Chancellor Valor's voice rang like a death knell. By order of the Galactic Council, humanity is hereby declared rogue. The War King is to be delivered, or Earth will suffer extermination. On the command deck, silence followed. No one moved. No one faltered. Then Vasquez leaned over the console and keyed a broadcast. Her voice rang out across the stars. Message to the Council. We stand with Thalric Iron Lud. If you want him, come and take him. The deck thundered with cheers. Thalric's chest tightened. For the first time in decades, he felt not shame, not despair, but something deeper. He looked at these humans, fragile, short-lived, stubborn beyond reason, and realized they had already given him what the Council had stolen. They had given him back his honor. The fleet shimmered at the edge of Sol, countless ships blotting the stars. War banners of the Council stretched across the void, Ketheri dreadnoughts with clawed hulls, Sarlith cruisers bristling with plasma lances, and the heavy carriers of 3 other species, all united under Vaylor's command. The largest of them dwarfed Earth's orbitals, its silhouette like a floating fortress. Oblivion, the Chancellor's flagship, glared with thousands of gun ports. Inside Earth's command network, alarms wailed. Screens lit up with incoming signatures, red markers swarming the tactical displays. Human officers spoke over one another, but Captain Vasquez's voice cut through the noise. Form battle groups. Activate lunar cannons. Rail platforms online. This is it. Her crew moved with precision, fear buried under training. Across the system, thousands of civilian volunteers manned hastily armed craft, some little more than reinforced freighters, others orbital defense stations turned into artillery posts. Humanity had never faced a war of this scale, yet their resolve was iron. Thalric stood on the deck of the flagship resolute, the weight of the moment pressing against his chest. He had fought wars beyond counting, but never alongside soldiers so willing to die for a cause greater than themselves. He stepped forward, demanding the comms channel. The officers hesitated, then opened the line. His deep voice boomed across the fleet. Warriors of Earth. You face an enemy that numbers in thousands, each ship larger and deadlier than your own. They believe you are weak. They believe you will break. But I have seen your hearts. I have seen your defiance. You are stronger than they can comprehend. I once commanded legions who forgot honor. You have reminded me what it means to fight not for power, but for each other. Stand today, and know that you are not alone. I, Thalric Iron Lud, fight beside you. A cheer rippled through the comms, human voices roaring in unison. Vasquez gave him a single nod, as if to say good. The first strike came without warning. Council frigates surged forward, their beams lashing against Earth's orbital grid. Shields flickered, explosions scattered debris, but the line held. Human rail platforms fired back, slugs streaking across space at near light speed. One Council destroyer burst apart in a cloud of molten fragments. The defenders erupted with triumph. Then the counterstroke fell. Plasma lances from dreadnoughts vaporized 3 defense stations. Dozens of small craft were cut down in seconds. The odds showed their weight, and panic rippled briefly. Hold the line! Vasquez barked. Redirect power to the belt platforms. All wings, prepare the ambush. At her signal, hidden guns awoke in the asteroid belt. Rail batteries, camouflaged for months, spun to life. Slugs screamed across the void, tearing through Council formations. 2 carriers crumpled, their hangars erupting in flame. The enemy staggered. Humanity surged. Drones swarmed forward, kamikaze units ramming into hulls, detonating warheads at point-blank range. Council admirals reeled as their precise formations fractured under the chaos. Thalric gripped the railing, eyes burning. By the gods, they fight like berserkers. They fight like humans, Vasquez replied, voice taut with pride. On Oblivion, Vaylor watched in fury as reports poured in. Primitive tactics. He spat, yet his claws dug into the console. The humans should have broken by now. Instead, they clawed at his fleets like rabid wolves, refusing to fall even as their losses mounted. He ordered a direct push, his dreadnoughts driving toward Earth itself. On Resolute, alarms shrieked. Enemy dreadnoughts advancing! Shield integrity at 60%! Vasquez slammed her fist against the console. We can't let them reach Earth. If they breach, it's over. Thalric turned. Then strike at their heart. Take me to the front. She stared at him. You'll be killed. He grinned, scars pulling tight. Better to die in battle than fade in exile. Humanity gave me life again. Now let me return the gift. She hesitated only a heartbeat, then nodded. Launch the strike craft. Moments later, Thalric strapped into a human gunship, its hull humming with power. Around him, young pilots prepared with grim determination. They saluted him, not as an alien relic, but as one of their own. The squadron launched, engines flaring. They streaked toward the council formation, weaving through fire. Massive lances carved space around them, but the gunships pressed on. Thalric's voice thundered over calms. You left me to perish, Valor. Humanity did not. And now, together, we rise. The strike craft dove into the dreadnought line. Missiles screamed from their bays, slamming into turrets and engines. Rail slugs from escort craft ripped holes in armor. Thalric's gunship tore across Oblivion's flank, strafing weapon ports until fire consumed the hull plating. On Earth's tactical screens, the impossible unfolded. The Council flagship staggered, its shields faltering. Valor roared commands, but chaos consumed his fleet. Now! Vasquez ordered. All batteries, fire on the flagship! The lunar cannons lit the darkness, beams converging on Oblivion. Armor plates split, decks ruptured. The mighty dreadnought turned into a burning hulk drifting helplessly. The sight electrified the defenders. Human cheers filled every channel. Across the galaxy, live feeds captured the unthinkable, humanity, the upstarts, crippling the Council's most powerful ship. Broken, Valor ordered retreat. His surviving ships fled into warp, leaving wrecks scattered across Sol. Silence fell in the command deck. Then waves of exultation. Humanity had survived. They had defied the galaxy and endured. On Resolute, Vasquez leaned against the console, exhausted. We did it, she whispered. Thalric stood tall, armor scorched, eyes fierce. He knew the war was not over, vengeance would return, but in that moment, victory was theirs. Later, in the halls of Earth's council, leaders offered him command, a chance to rally new fleets under his banner. He shook his head. I will not rule again. My empire lies in ashes. But I will fight beside those who remembered me when all others turned away. Then, before the assembly, he dropped to one knee. Gasps filled the chamber. The warrior king of a fallen race kneeling before humanity. You gave me back my honor, he said. From this day, I am your ally. My name, my blade, my loyalty, yours. Vasquez stepped forward, resting a hand on his shoulder. Then you're not the last of the Varkathi. You're the first of something new. Outside, the people of Earth celebrated. Across the galaxy, whispers grew louder. Humanity had faced the impossible and stood unbroken. They were no longer dismissed as primitives. They were protectors, allies, warriors feared and admired in equal measure. In the quiet of the night, Thalric stood on a balcony, looking at the stars. Once, they had been cold and empty, filled with betrayal. Now, among them burned a light he had not thought to see again. Hope. And he knew his people's legacy would live, not in bloodlines or ruined thrones, but in the hearts of those who had chosen to fight with him. In a galaxy of empires, he murmured, voice low but steady, only humanity remembered what it meant to be warriors.